Hello everybody. I welcome you all to NCAS Geology class. Today I'll discuss on the topic assaying. In the previous class I have already discussed what is sampling. Now let me discuss the topic that is assaying. What is assaying? Assaying is the chemical analysis which is done in order to know the metallic or elemental percentage in an ore or mineral sample. So it is a process of chemical analysis to find out the metallic or elemental percentage in an ore. Or it can be defined as the process of determining quality, that is grade, or and quantity of the valuable metal or element in an ore sample. It is always expressed in terms of percentage of a metal or element or in grams per ton in case of valuable metals. So assaying involves a chemical analysis by which the elemental or metal percentage is being determined in case of a sample. And this assaying is adapted to know the reserve of any deposit and thus their economic viability for mine planning, for buying and selling of mineral property, royalty and taxation that can be levied from a deposit. Because a clear picture of the metallic concentration in a deposit can be known after the assaying value is being determined. So, assaying is the process of chemical analysis. It is done through XRF, AAS, ICP-MS, and by these processes the elemental concentration of samples are determined. The value obtained are described as assay value. Assaying yields the assay value of elements or metals. So this is the analysis that is done in assaying to find out the metallic percentage or elemental percentage in a sample. Before samples are sent for analysis, the samples are prepared so that the chemical analysis can be possible. So, how the samples are being prepared for chemical analysis? That is, before the samples are sent for analysis, they are duly prepared so that truly representative samples are sent to analysis. It mostly involves the size reduction and weight reduction without losing the representativeness of the sample. Samples are prepared, samples are subjected to size reduction, weight reduction, and finally a representative sample is sent to the laboratory for chemical analysis in order to know the assay value. So how the samples are being prepared? Let us discuss. The steps are drying. The sample is first dried in order to remove the water present in the sample. Then the sample is subjected to crushing, grinding, so that the size can be reduced, the weight can be reduced. So crushing is adapted to reduce the large lumps to smaller sizes. The primary crushers or jaw crushers are used to break the sample into granular form with size range about 1 to 2 cm. Then it is subject to grinding, pulverizing in the gyrated crushers or ball mills to -70 to mesh size or to -200 mesh size, which is the very fine grade, or the sample is subject to the process of coning and quartering in order to get the representative sample. This coning and quartering is adapted to get representative sample so that no component is found to have undue influence over the sample. By coning and quartering, this undue influence of different components present in the sample are reduced. So coning, quartering is adapted to get the representative sample, or crushing, grinding, sieving, that is being done along with coning and quartering to get the representative sample. So what is coning and quartering? It is actually a manual method of obtaining the representative sample. First, the cross sample is being spread on a clean sheet. The crossed sample materials are thoroughly mixed by using a shovel. Then this metal is being poured from certain height to make a cone shaped pile. The pouring should be made slowly from the top so that the particles are distributed evenly. Thus, there occurs uniform distribution of coarse and fine particles. A cone-like heap is being produced by pouring the material from the top. So this is the cone. Then this cone is being pressed to make a circle, make it a circular, or this cone material is being pressed uniformly to make a circle of this should be of uniform thickness. Or flattening is made, the cone is flattened to form a circular disc of uniform thickness. Then it is divided into 4 parts. Two opposite quarters are being taken, other 2 quarters are rejected. And then these 2 quarters are again mixed, subject to crushing, coning and quartering, and again they are being poured to form a cone. Then compressed, then made into 4 quadrants. 2 opposite quadrants are taken, opposite quadrants are rejected, and this process is repeated till the sample having desired size is obtained and a representative sample is being obtained. The process of repeating this process is to get the representative sample. So this process of coning is repeated until the required sample with the appropriate weight is about 1 kg is obtained. This prevents segregation of heavy minerals and ensures the representativeness of the sample, and the bulk samples are reduced to laboratory sample by this process. There are ripple splitter or zone splitter which may be used for accurate and faster quartering process compared to manual quartering. In case of Koenig and quartering process for getting the representative sample. In case of gold samples, the proper preparation of the sample is made to reduce the nugget effect. What is nugget effect? Gold is heavy and is generally found to be ununiformly distributed as coarse particles or nuggets in the ore. So care is to be taken to see that there is not large variation in gold content in the sample assayed. If the sample is not properly grinded, mixed thoroughly, then these coarse particles in a sample may be concentrated at one, may be found in one sample and it may not be found in other sample. In that case, there will be, when the analysis will be made, there will be large variation in gold content in the sample. This will lead to nugget effect. So, proper coning and quartering with size reduction should be adopted in order to reduce the nugget effect, particularly in case of valuable minerals. Now let us discuss how the sampling data are being processed and interpreted, or how the analysis is being made. The assay value obtained from the numerous pits, trenches, crush cuts, drives and borehole samples are studied step by step to arrive at the average value of the particular block or section or whole mineralized block. If the grade is variant in different blocks or sections, in that case the result grade wise and block wise are estimated. Where there is variation, in that case block wise, section wise reserve calculation is being made by taking into account the assaying data. In case of borehole samples, the entire core may or may not be recovered. If the core is not fully recovered, in that case the sludge materials that should be taken into account along with the recovered core, so that the whole material that is derived through coring can be taken into account and it can be a representative sample. During drilling, it is very often seen that the valuable mineral content may be lost during coring and that may be added to the sludge. So, the sludge material should be collected and are to be taken into account with the recovered core unit to find out the assay value or grade of the entire core. Another point which is to be kept in mind is that the sludge represents not only the section lost during coring, but it also represents the cuttings obtained from the borehole sides. So, the sludge should be suitably taken into account along with the recovered core and it must be analyzed to find out the true value of the assay or true elemental percentage in the sample. The borehole that intersects the ore body perpendicularly or that is parallel to true width is representative sample. If it is found to intersect in inclined manner, in that case, the sine of the angle between the drill hole and the load is multiplied to get the true thickness. So this is here the bore hole is cutting this ore body perpendicularly, so it is parallel to true width. But here the ore body is dipping like this, the bore hole has been sunk like this. So this length is L. This is the dip. L sin theta will give the true width. This is the true width. So generally true width is considered, samples parallel true width are collected in order to get the representative sample, and that sample should be analyzed to give the correct assay value for the deposit. So the bore hole should be sunk in such a manner that it should hit the ore body perpendicularly parallel to true width. In case of mine samples, several groups, samples from several groups are drawn representing different rock types and ore types. To find out the average of each group, it is necessary to know whether the load is fully exposed or not, because it requires mining. If it is represented through a narrow vein, it will not be possible to recover the narrow vein without having a surface clearance of about 1 meter, because the machinery will work or a man will stand and cut the sample. So minimum width must be there around the ore body, around the load or around the vein, so that cutting can be possible. And this minimum width required is called the minimum stopping width, and it should not be less than 1 meter. So even if the vein is very narrow, but the surrounding clearance should be about 1 meter, so that the recovery of the load along with the surrounding material can be possible, either through machinery or through manual mining. That's why the minimum stopping width is taken into account while recovering the ore material or mineral material from its natural setting. It has been discussed here. If the load is fully exposed and narrow, say only a 50 centimeter width, it is obvious that the width has to be enhanced to facilitate actual mining. The minimum width required for mining is known as the minimum stopping width. The minimum stopping width depends upon the exact method of mining and the type of machinery which is to be used for recovery of the ore. In the conventional method, the minimum stopping width is calculated on the basis that a man should be able to work comfortably in a stope which should have a vertical clearance of 1.5 meters, and therefore the minimum stopping width depends upon the depth of the load, and in any case it should not be less than 1 meter. So minimum stopping width should not be less than 1 meter, because If it is less than that, mining cannot be possible, whether it is manual mining or mining by any machinery. So that is minimum stopping width. So based upon that, the estimation is to be made with regard to the elemental percentage that can be recovered through actual mining. These examples that I am going to cite here, that will make the picture clear. Let us say in a drive 5 samples have been collected. Sample 1 is having width 10 centimeter with PB percentage 0.1, sample 2 30 centimeter, sample 2 30 centimeter with having 4.3% PB, sample 3 40 centimeter with 5.1% PB, sample 4 30 centimeter with 2.1% PB, and sample 5 20 centimeter with having 0.6% PB. So these are the analysis of assay value derived from the samples through chemical analysis. And this is the minimum stopping width. This is the width, and width will have to be not less than 1 meter. So here the minimum stopping width is 1 meter. So within 1 meter, what are the materials that are available? And that we will have to take into account to find the average grade. Otherwise, if it will be very low, then in that case it may not be economical and the site will have to be avoided. So minimum stopping width is 1 meter, and cutoff grade with the minimum grade, the boundary between the ore and waste, 3% PB. So in this case, as the cutoff grade is 3%, we have sample number 1 having very low percentage of PB, that is rejected. Sample number 5 very low percentage of PB, that is rejected. Sample 2, 3, 4 they are having their PB percentage more than that of the cutoff grade. And when we find out the average grade of the 3 samples, 2, 3, 4, here the width into grade plus width into grade plus width into grade divided by total width, it gives 3.96% of PB for 100 centimeter width. So this is the stopping width. So in that stopping width, the grade becomes 3.96%. Even though sample wise the grade is more, but when taken into account the total 100 centimeter width, it becomes 3.96% PB. It is more than that of the 3% PB, and that hence it is economical and it can be mined because it is over the cutoff grade. Similarly, if you take another example number 2, 3 samples have been collected. Stopping width is about 1 meter and 30 centimeter, 60 centimeter, 60 centimeter width materials have been collected and their elemental percentage has been found out. At the cutoff grade is 2% and sample number 1 is having 1.6%. That sample is being rejected and average grade is found out from sample number 2 and sample number 3. 60 into 3.2, 60 into 3.1 by 120, it gives 3.15% of zinc over 120 centimeter width. So this is the assay value. from the samples, sample number 1, 2, 3, that yields the assay value 3.15% of zinc over 120 cm. That is the minimum stopping width. Let us take another example. Example number 3, where 4 samples have been collected, but here the sample number 2, which is occurring among the sample 1, 3, 4, and its elemental percentage is very low. Below the cutoff grade, that is 2%, it is 0.2%. Even if it is low, it cannot be separated from it cannot be rejected at the mine site. It will have to be taken into account along with other samples. So that has been studied here. Minimum stopping width is about 140 centimeter. This is 20, 80, 10, 30. Processing, here do not reject any sample. Here the low grade sample that occurs between high grades, that is sample number 2, for which its mining is unavoidable. It cannot be avoided. When the mining will take place, sample number 1, sample number 3, 4 cannot be isolated from sample number 2, even if it is of low grade. So that has been taken into account along with sample number 1, 2, 3, 4, and the average grade has been found out, which is about 2.9% of zinc over 140 cm width, and as the cutoff grade is 2%, it is 2.9%. The mining is feasible, it is economical. So within the minimum width, how the ore body is occurring, whether a sample which is showing very low grade, that can be rejected or not, that is to be studied within the minimum stopping width. And if it is unavoidable, then it will have to be taken into account, as it has been explained in example 3. Let us take another example, example 4, where 3 samples have been collected, and it is within a width of about 80 cm. But mining cannot be possible within this width. Mining will have to go up to 100 cm. That is 1 meter. So that mining can be possible. So even if it is waste, it will have to be recovered along with this material. Mining cannot be possible for this amount. So whole metal over a width of about 100 cm will have to be recovered. So the calculation has been initially is made over 80 cm, which is 2.6% of copper over 80 cm, and that is being reduced to 100 cm, where 20 cm is waste. It becomes 2.1% of copper, because the value gets reduced when we talk about the stopping width to be 1 meter. Stopping width, minimum stopping width is 1 meter. It cannot be less than 1 meter. So it is the sample that has been recovered from a width of about 80 centimeters. So that is, it is converted into, or the calculation is made over a width of 1 meter. That's why the grade has been reduced. In 80 centimeter, the grade is about 2.6%. But when it is reduced to 100 centimeters, including the 20 centimeter waste, it becomes 2.1% copper over 100 centimeters. That's why proper assaying is to be done taking into account the minimum stopping width. So in all the above examples, it is necessary to know the cut-off grade or the ore waste boundary, and then the calculation can be made with regard to whether the mining will be feasible or not. Very often, for providing better significance of the result, further sub-classification of grade is made into several sub-grades such as effective grade, run-off mine grade, pit head grade, mill grade, cut-off grade, in addition to the computed or sampled grade. These are some of the terms which are used to describe the grade over the computed grade. What is computed grade? It is obtained from the computation of sampling data. That is computed grade. But effective grade, it may be more than the computed grade or it may be less than the computed grade, as it is the clear picture after actual mining. Effective grade is the grade that is obtained after actual mining. For example, let us say in an iron ore deposit, the reserve has been estimated to be 110 million, or reserve is estimated to 10 million with 10 million tons with 63% iron. But when the mining went on, it was found that 5 million tons of iron ore represent the fines having size less than 12 mm. And fines, as these fines cannot be used as such in the blast furnaces, they are not found to be acceptable for extraction purpose. So 5 million ton is waste. So rest is only 5 million ton. Initially it was calculated that 10 million tons of reserve with 63% iron. Now 5 million tons is found to be having 64% iron. So now the rate 5 million tons will be having 62% iron, because average was 63. Waste is found to be 64% iron. So remaining iron, which is not fines, which can be recovered, it has 62% iron. So this is the effective grade. So computed grade is now reduced to effective grade after actual mining, as waste was detected from specification point of view, because fines cannot be used as such in the blast furnaces for metal extraction. The fines will have to be agglomerated in order to make them usable in the blast furnaces. So initially these fines are found to be a waste, because the industries will not take the fines as such. So this is effective grade. Computed grade is found to found to be different from that of the effective grade. Run of mine grade is the grade which is obtained during the process of mining. That is run of mine grade. In running condition, what grade is being available? That is run of mine grade. Pit head grade. It is the grade of the stacked material near the mine site. Stacked material. It is the grade of the stacked material. Mill grade. It is the grade of the ore which is fed into the mill for metal extraction. It is required that uniform ores of uniform grade or quality are being fed into the mills. There should not be wide variation in the grade, or variation should be within the stipulated limits. That's why mill grade is being determined. Grade with materials with uniform grade are being fed into the mill for metal extraction. Cut-off grade is the grade which is the boundary between the ore and the waste, below which the mining cannot be possible. So these are the different terms, different grades which are used after the assaying data is obtained. After the samples are analyzed and their elemental percentage, metallic percentage are known, and whether the mine is having economic concentration deposit or uneconomic, that is being decided from that of the cut-off grade. So this is all about the assaying, and next I will discuss on the reserve estimation. Thank you all for giving a patient hearing to my present talk.